First contact gone wrong. The Helios Confederacy's first mistake was assuming that silence meant weakness. For centuries, they had dominated the Orion Arm, cataloging and conquering species with methodical precision. Their massive ships, powered by quantum fold drives, had mapped thousands of worlds. But Earth was different. Earth had been watching. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of humanity's hidden Titan base, her dark eyes fixed on the crystalline structures of Saturn's rings. The massive observation array, disguised as natural ice formations, had just detected the Confederacy's scout ship, dropping out of quantum space at the edge of the solar system. "Right on schedule," she murmured, checking the holographic display floating beside her. 20 years of intercepting quantum communications had taught humanity everything about their unwanted visitors. The Confederacy's arrogance would be their undoing. "Admiral," Lieutenant Commander Marcus Rodriguez called from his station, "the scout ship is following the exact patrol pattern we predicted. They're scanning the system but missing everything important." Chen allowed herself a small smile. The quantum camouflage fields were working perfectly. To the Confederacy's sensors, Earth appeared to be exactly what they expected. A developing civilization barely reaching for the stars. They couldn't see the massive shipyards hidden in Mercury's eternal shadow, or the swarms of autonomous defense platforms disguised as asteroids throughout the belt. "What's their classification protocol showing?" Chen asked, though she already knew the answer. Rodriguez checked his quantum-encrypted display. "They're rating us as a Class 2 civilization, ma'am. Minimal space presence, no quantum technology, suitable for standard integration protocols." "Perfect." Chen turned to face the command center's main strategic display, where dozens of officers monitored Earth's true defensive grid. "They see exactly what we want them to see. Maintain emergence protocols. Let them think they're the first to make contact." The scout ship's presence wasn't a surprise. Humanity had discovered their first warning 2 decades ago. A crashed Confederacy probe on Mars. Instead of announcing the find to the world, Earth's united governments had made an unprecedented decision. Absolute secrecy while they prepared. The probe had contained a quantum core that revealed the brutal truth about galactic civilization. The Helios Confederacy didn't believe in equality among species. They believed in hierarchy, in the right of the strong to rule the weak. And they were coming. "Admiral," Rodriguez interrupted her thoughts. "They're launching their first contact probe. Standard Confederacy protocol. It'll broadcast their demands for submission in every human language they've decoded from our transmissions." Chen nodded. "Let it come. Maintain our primitive response protocols. Show them exactly what they expect to see." On the surface, Earth's space stations and lunar bases appeared to panic at the alien arrival. Carefully choreographed emergency transmissions filled the airwaves, while military satellites made clumsy attempts to track the scout ship. It was a performance 20 years in the making. The probe entered Earth's atmosphere, its quantum shields glowing as it descended toward the United Nations headquarters in New York. Right on cue, Earth's defensive missiles launched. Primitive chemical rockets that the probe easily evaded. "Receiving their message now," Rodriguez reported. "Standard Confederacy dominance display. They're demanding our immediate surrender and integration into their hierarchy as a protectorate species." Chen's expression hardened. "Send our prepared response. Let's see how they handle a species that doesn't follow their script." The UN Secretary-General's message was broadcast worldwide and into space. "People of Earth, we face a moment of truth. Alien life has reached our world. They come not in peace, but in conquest. But humanity has never bowed to tyrants, whether they come from Earth or the stars. We reject their demands. We choose freedom." In orbit, the scout ship's sensors registered increasing military activity on Earth's surface. To their algorithms, it looked like the panicked mobilization of an inferior species. They couldn't detect the quantum signatures of Earth's true defense grid powering up, hidden beneath layers of technological deception. "They're sending their response," Rodriguez announced. Full invasion fleet deployment. Estimated arrival in 3 months. Chen walked to the center of the command room, her voice carrying to every station. This is what we've prepared for. For 20 years, we've hidden our strength, learned their weaknesses, and built our defenses. They think they're coming to subdue a primitive species. Instead, they're walking into humanity's finest hour. She turned to face her crew, seeing the same determination in their eyes that she felt in her heart. The Confederacy has never lost a war in their 1,000-year history. But they've never fought humans before. They don't understand that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our weapons. It's our refusal to submit, our ability to face impossible odds and find a way to win. The quantum displays showed the scout ship jumping away, racing to report their findings to the Confederacy fleet. They would return with overwhelming force, expecting an easy victory. Instead, they would learn why humanity had spent 20 years preparing not just to survive first contact, but to reshape the galaxy. All stations, Chen commanded, initiate Operation Starfall. It's time to show the galaxy why you should never underestimate Earth. Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden strength stirred to life. The game of deception was ending. The real war was about to begin. The silent storm. 3 months of deceptive calm followed Earth's rejection of the Confederacy's demands. To casual observers, humanity appeared to be frantically preparing traditional defenses, missile silos, orbital platforms, and conventional warships. But beneath this theatrical display, Operation Starfall unfolded with precision. Deep within Titan Base, Dr. Maya Patel stood before the Quantum Engineering Lab's main display, watching streams of data from their latest weapons test. The artificial gravity well they'd just generated had completely disrupted the test drone's quantum drive, leaving it dead in space. Quantum interference field test successful, she reported to Admiral Chen. The Confederacy's ships won't be able to maintain their fold space bubbles within 500,000 kilometers of our defense grid. Chen nodded, studying the test results. They rely too heavily on their quantum technology. They've never faced an enemy who could turn it against them. The lab itself was a testament to humanity's leap forward. 20 years ago, the crashed probe had given them their first glimpse of quantum technology. But instead of merely copying the Confederacy's designs, human scientists had taken the concepts in radical new directions. Status report on the Lazarus swarm, Chen asked, turning to Colonel James Way, head of autonomous systems. We gestured at another display showing countless small points of light scattered throughout the solar system. All units are in position and cloaked. 5 million autonomous units, each carrying enough processing power to outsmart any Confederacy eye. They won't see them until it's too late. The Lazarus swarm represented humanity's answer to the Confederacy's overwhelming numbers. Instead of building massive warships, Earth had created billions of microscopic machines that could disassemble enemy vessels from the inside out. In lunar orbit, General Maria Santos supervised the final deployment of humanity's more conventional forces. The sleek warships of Earth's defense fleet bore little resemblance to the clumsy rockets the Confederacy expected. Each vessel carried technology that would have been impossible just 2 decades ago. Ghost Squadron reports ready, Santos communicated to Chen. All ships are running silent with quantum mimicry engaged. To enemy sensors, they'll look like chunks of space debris. The quantum mimicry system was perhaps humanity's greatest achievement. It didn't just hide their ships, it could make them appear to be anything or nothing at all. The entire defense fleet could hide in plain sight, indistinguishable from background radiation. Meanwhile, Earth's public face told a different story. News broadcasts showed the construction of primitive orbital defense platforms. Military leaders made speeches about standing firm against alien aggression with conventional weapons. Social media buzzed with panic and determination in equal measure. The Confederacy's advance fleet has crossed the Kuiper Belt, Rodriguez reported from his monitoring station. 5,000 ships, including 300 of their heaviest dreadnoughts. Chen walked to the central command platform, activating the strategic display. The approaching Confederacy fleet appeared as a massive red cloud, advancing with absolute confidence. They had no reason to be cautious. Their smallest ship could destroy an entire city. All their patterns matched their standard invasion protocols, Chen observed. They haven't adjusted their tactics at all. They still think we're defenseless. Dr. Paddle joined her at the display. Their arrogance makes sense. They'd conquered thousands of worlds the same way. Why change what's always worked? Because this time, they're not facing a primitive species, Chen replied. They're facing humanity. And we don't play by their rules. Throughout the solar system, humanity's true defenses remained invisible. The quantum disruption fields waited silently, ready to trap the Confederacy fleet. The Lazarus swarm drifted among the asteroids, each unit carrying programming more sophisticated than anything the Confederacy had ever encountered. And Earth's ghost fleet watched and waited, their crews ready for the fight of their lives. Message from Command, Rodriguez announced. Operation Starfall is greenlit. We are authorized to proceed with full defensive measures. Chen straightened her uniform, looking at each of her senior officers in turn. Everything we've worked for comes down to the next few days. The Confederacy thinks they're coming to add another primitive species to their collection. Instead, they're about to learn why humanity's greatest weapon isn't our technology. It's our creativity, our determination, and our absolute refusal to bow to tyranny. The quantum sensors showed the Confederacy fleet accelerating, their formation spreading out to surround Earth. They would expect surrender at first sight of their overwhelming force. They would expect fear and submission. They would be wrong. All stations, Chen commanded, execute final preparation protocols. When they break through the Kuiper Belt, show them exactly what humanity is capable of. Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden strength stirred beneath its cloak of deception. The greatest trap in military history was about to be sprung, and the Confederacy would never see it coming. The silent storm was about to break, and the galaxy would never be the same. Operation Checkmate. The Confederacy fleet emerged from quantum space in perfect formation, their massive ships blotting out the stars as they approached Earth. Supreme Commander Varric stood on his flagship's bridge, his 4 eyes narrowed as he studied the tactical display. Primitive defenses detected, his sensor officer reported. Chemical rockets, basic energy weapons, and rudimentary shields. Nothing that can penetrate our quantum barriers. Varric nodded, mandibles clicking in satisfaction. Standard subjugation protocol. Target their major military installations first. Show them the futility of resistance. As the Confederacy fleet moved into attack position, Admiral Chen watched from Titan Base's command center. The enemy ships had taken position exactly where Earth's defense planners had predicted they would. They're using their standard attack formation, Rodriguez confirmed. Dreadnoughts in the center, escorts forming a sphere around Earth. They're preparing to launch their first strike. Chen's voice was steady as she gave the order. Execute Phase 1. Let's show them what humanity's been hiding. Throughout the solar system, invisible quantum fields suddenly activated. The Confederacy fleet's sensors registered the change too late. Their quantum drives stuttered and failed, trapping them in normal space. Status report. Varric demanded as his flagship's engines died. Quantum field disruption. His engineer responded, mandibles trembling. Some kind of technology we've never seen before. We're stuck in real space. Before the Confederacy could react, Earth's ghost fleet shimmered into existence. Thousands of ships that had appeared to be nothing more than space debris suddenly revealed their true nature, surrounding the trapped alien armada. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. Her message broadcasted on all frequencies. Your quantum technology is neutralized. Your ships are surrounded. You have one chance to surrender. Varric's rage echoed through his ship. Impossible. They're primitives. All ships, conventional weapons only. Show these humans the might of the Confederacy. But as the alien fleet opened fire, their weapons found only empty space. Earth's ships shifted and flickered, quantum mimicry making them impossible to target. Meanwhile, the Lazarus swarm activated. Millions of microscopic machines swarmed toward the Confederacy vessels, passing through their now useless shields. Inside each ship, the autonomous units began their work, targeting critical systems with surgical precision. Multiple system failures across the fleet, Varix's tactical officer reported, panic in his voice. These humans, they have technology we've never seen before. Chen watched as the Confederacy fleet's formation began to break apart. Phase 2, she ordered. Show them what Earth's ships can really do. The Ghost Fleet opened fire. Instead of conventional weapons, they launched quantum-entangled projectiles that ignored shields and armor, striking directly at their targets' weak points. Ships that had never known defeat began exploding across space. Impossible. Varix shouted as another dreadnought exploded. They were supposed to be primitives. How did they hide this level of technology? Dr. Patel's voice came through on Chen's private channel. The quantum disruption field is holding perfectly. Admiral, their attempts to reactivate their drives are just making things worse. Begin Phase 3, Chen commanded. Colonel Wei, unleash the full Lazarus swarm. The microscopic machines multiplied exponentially, spreading through the Confederacy fleet like a technological virus. Ship after ship went dark as their systems were dismantled from within. Supreme Commander, Varix's second-in-command reported, we've lost contact with half the fleet. The humans, they're not just fighting us, they're taking our ships apart. In the chaos, several Confederacy ships attempted to flee, abandoning their quantum drives and using conventional engines. Chen allowed it. They would carry the message back to their hierarchy. This is your final warning. Chen broadcast. Your fleet is defeated. Your technology is useless. Surrender now, or we will be forced to demonstrate our full capabilities. Varix stood amid his failing bridge, watching his mighty fleet being systematically dismantled by an enemy he had fatally underestimated. All ships, he finally commanded, stand down. Initiate surrender protocols. Throughout the solar system, the remains of the Confederacy fleet powered down their weapons. The greatest armada in known space had been defeated without a single human casualty. Admiral, Rodriguez reported, we're receiving surrender signals from all remaining enemy vessels. The Confederacy fleet is standing down. Chen nodded, but her expression remained serious. Secure their ships and begin processing prisoners. But stay alert. This was just their first fleet. When word reaches their hierarchy, they'll send everything they have. She turned to her staff, her voice carrying across the command center. Today, we showed them that humanity isn't just another species to be conquered, but the real war is just beginning. The Confederacy won't stop until they either destroy us or accept us as equals. Across space, Earth's true power was finally revealed. The quantum disruption fields shimmered with energy, the Ghost Fleet maintained their vigilant watch, and the Lazarus swarm continued their silent work, dismantling the defeated Confederacy ships for study. The first battle was over. Humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy in a way that could not be ignored. But everyone in that command center knew the greatest challenges still lay ahead. The tables turned. The Confederacy hierarchy's grand chamber erupted in chaos as the battle footage played on massive quantum screens. Hundreds of representatives from conquered species watched in stunned silence as Earth's forces systematically dismantled their supposedly invincible fleet. High Chancellor Mexthar, supreme leader of the Confederacy, slammed his ceremonial staff against the chamber floor. Impossible. These humans were supposed to be primitives. How did our intelligence fail so completely? In Earth's orbital command center, Admiral Chen reviewed the quantum intercepts of the Confederacy's emergency session. The hidden receivers humanity had scattered throughout nearby systems were working perfectly, giving them a real-time view of their enemy's panic. They're mobilizing everything, Colonel Wei reported, studying the intercepted fleet movements. Every available ship in the Confederacy is being recalled to strike at Earth. Over 20,000 vessels. Chen nodded, unsurprised. Exactly as we predicted. Their entire society is built on the myth of their invincibility. We didn't just defeat their fleet, we threatened their entire power structure. The weeks following the first battle had been busy. Earth's forces had stripped the captured Confederacy ships, learning even more about their technology and tactics. More importantly, they had questioned the prisoners, discovering critical weaknesses in the Confederacy's empire. Dr. Patel's team has finished analyzing their quantum core designs, General Santos reported. The Confederacy's entire infrastructure depends on a standardized quantum network, one they never imagined could be compromised. Chen smiled. The Confederacy's greatest strength, their unified quantum technology, was about to become their greatest weakness. Status of Operation Ghostwalker. Ready to deploy, Wei confirmed. Our eye has mapped their entire quantum network. When they commit their forces to attack Earth, we'll be ready to strike at their core world simultaneously. The quantum screens showed the massive Confederacy armada assembling. This time, they weren't taking any chances. Every ship, every weapon, every resource they had was being committed to crushing the human threat. They still think this is about defending Earth, Chen observed. They haven't realized that we've been planning our counterattack for 20 years. In the Confederacy Grand Chamber, High Chancellor Mexthar addressed his war council. These humans have somehow acquired advanced technology, but they are still just one world. Once we crush their defenses, their spirit will break like all the others. But even as he spoke, humanity's plan was already in motion. Throughout Confederacy space, seemingly innocent communication relays activated hidden protocols. Quantum signatures that had laid dormant for years came to life. Ghost Fleet reports ready, Santos announced. Our advance forces have been hiding in their systems for months, disguised as debris and abandoned ships. They're in position to strike at every major Confederacy world simultaneously. Chen stood at the command center's main display, watching the enemy fleet approach. They thought finding that crashed probe 20 years ago was their victory, their first step toward conquering Earth. They never considered that we'd use those 2 decades to infiltrate their entire empire. The Confederacy fleet entered the outer solar system, their weapons charged, their commanders confident that overwhelming numbers would guarantee victory. This time, they were ready for Earth's quantum disruption fields and microscopic machines. They've adapted their shields, Rodriguez reported. They think they're ready for our tactics from the first battle. But they haven't adapted to what comes next, Chen replied. Execute Operation Ghostwalker. Show them why you should never corner a species that thinks in 3 dimensions when you only think in 2. Across Confederacy space, humanity's hidden forces revealed themselves. Ghost fleet ships appeared in orbit around dozens of crucial worlds. The Lazarus Swarm, which had secretly infiltrated key facilities, activated. And most devastatingly, Earth's quantum eye began its assault on their network. Multiple simultaneous attacks reported across Confederacy space. Mexthar's advisor shouted, "Our quantum network is being rewritten. Defense systems are going dark. This is impossible. They're attacking everywhere at once." In the solar system, the Confederacy fleet's advance suddenly halted as their quantum communications dissolved into chaos. Orders couldn't be transmitted. Coordination became impossible. And through their compromised networks, humanity's message played on every screen. You thought Earth was fighting a defensive war. Chen's voice echoed through every Confederacy ship. You thought we were just trying to protect our world. That was your final mistake. We're not just defending Earth. We're ending the Confederacy's tyranny forever. The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries. But it wasn't fought just in space around Earth. It was fought across hundreds of systems simultaneously. The Confederacy's mighty empire, built on thousands of years of conquest, began to crumble in a single day. Humanity hadn't just prepared to defend themselves. They had prepared to reshape the galaxy. A new dawn. The fall of the Confederacy happened faster than anyone could have predicted. Within days of Operation Ghostwalker's activation, thousands of years of tyrannical rule crumbled. not through overwhelming force, but through humanity's unique combination of strategy, technology, and perhaps most importantly, their offer of something the Confederacy had never considered: choice. High Chancellor Mexthar stood in his once grand chamber, now surrounded by Earth's quantum projection holograms. Admiral Chen's image faced him, her expression firm but not triumphant. "Your empire is finished," she stated simply. "But Earth doesn't seek to replace one tyranny with another. We're offering something different, a chance for every species to choose their own path." Throughout Confederacy space, the subjugated species watched as their oppressors' power evaporated. The quantum network that had once controlled their lives now carried messages of freedom, transmitted through protocols Earth had planted years ago. In Earth's command center, Dr. Patel monitored the cascade of systems declaring independence. "It's remarkable," she said. "Some of these species have been enslaved for thousands of years. They never imagined freedom was possible." "That was the Confederacy's ultimate weakness," Chen replied. "They were so convinced of their superiority that they never considered their slaves might dream of something better. They never understood that oppression breeds innovation in those desperate to be free." The aftermath of the war brought unprecedented changes to the galaxy. Earth emerged not as a conqueror, but as a mediator. The technology they had developed to fight the Confederacy was now being adapted to help former slave species rebuild their worlds. Representatives from 30 former Confederacy worlds are requesting membership in the new alliance, Colonel Wei reported. "They're particularly interested in our quantum democracy protocols." The quantum democracy system was perhaps humanity's most revolutionary creation. It allowed instant, secure voting and representation across interstellar distances, making true democratic cooperation possible on a galactic scale. Mexthar and the other Confederacy leaders faced justice, but not in the way they expected. Instead of execution or imprisonment, they were sentenced to live among the species they had once enslaved, required to work alongside them in rebuilding. "Some of them are actually adapting well," General Santos observed, reviewing the rehabilitation reports. "It turns out even the oppressors were trapped in their own system, unable to imagine a different way of living." 1 year after the war's end, representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered in Earth's orbital assembly. The Galactic Alliance Charter was signed, establishing a new order based on cooperation, mutual defense, and most importantly, the right of all species to self-determination. Admiral Chen stood at the podium, addressing delegates from across the galaxy. 20 years ago, humanity discovered we weren't alone in the universe. We learned that an empire of conquest was coming to enslave us. But instead of despairing, we prepared, not just to defend ourselves, but to free everyone." She gestured to the diverse assembly before her. "We succeeded not because we were stronger or more advanced, but because we dared to imagine a different future. Where the Confederacy saw only hierarchy and control, we saw the possibility of cooperation and mutual growth. The quantum networks that had once enforced slavery now connected free worlds in trade and cultural exchange. The ghost fleets that had won the war now patrolled trade routes, protecting merchant ships of all species, and the Lazarus Swarm had been reprogrammed to help rebuild damaged worlds. This is humanity's gift to the galaxy, Chen continued. Not our technology or our weapons, but our fundamental belief that every species has the right to choose their own destiny. That diversity makes us stronger. That cooperation accomplishes more than conquest ever could. In the years that followed, the galaxy experienced an unprecedented renaissance. Species that had been isolated by Confederacy decree now shared their knowledge freely. Trade and cultural exchanges flourished. And most importantly, the fear that had dominated galactic society for millennia began to fade. Earth became known not as the world that defeated the mighty Confederacy, but as the world that showed the galaxy a better way. Humanity's victory wasn't just in winning the war. It was in proving that freedom and cooperation were stronger than tyranny and fear. As Chen looked out at the bustling activity around Earth's orbital shipyards, where ships of dozens of species now docked freely, she reflected on how far they had come. The crashed probe that had warned them of the Confederacy's existence still sat in its museum on Mars, a reminder of how close they had come to being just another conquered world. Instead, humanity had changed the course of galactic history, not through overwhelming force, but through creativity, determination, and an unwavering belief that every species deserved the right to chart its own course among the stars. The age of the Confederacy was over. The age of cooperation had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.